Hello and welcome to our first episode of MTG Hotspot. In this series, we'll be discussing everything Magic with various co-hosts. I'm Frank, and today I'm accompanied with Jake from Casual Jake.
Hey, it's Casual Jake. I'm so excited to be on the podcast today.
So today we're going to be diving into the Commander Nethroi Apex of Death and how to build this Cat Nightmare Beast. Before we get into this deck tech, I just want to remind you of a few things. We have chosen the winners of our giveaway, so stay tuned for the results. Common Command also has a Patreon, so make sure you check out the amazing benefits we offer for joining. And alright, Jake, you're in the hot spot. Alright, so let's break down Nethroi. You want to go ahead and read them off?
Sure. So Nethroi is for 2, 1 white, 1 black, 1 green. It is a Cat Nightmare Beast, which is a 5/5 power and toughness, but you can also mutate it, which I think is what most people want to do.
Yes.
For 4 generic, either green or white, and then black and black. It has Death Touch and Lifelink, and this text is great. It makes it one of my favorite commanders right now.
Yeah.
Whenever this creature mutates, return any number of target creature cards with total power 10 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So you get to recur a bunch of stuff up to 10 power and put it onto the battlefield.
It's really strong, decks like Marin and Carador, just really strong decks. Reanimate is just really popular. I really like the deck. Basically, we've broken down this episode into like 9 different categories for Nethroi, and we've brought cards just like that fit that category. So me and Jake are just going to go ahead and run through them. So let's start with the first one, Ramp. Every deck wants to start off with ramp. You want a decent amount of ramp cards, and I think there are some interesting cards you can use for this. I can go ahead and go first. My first pick was cards like Farhaven Elf. Just really easy, 3 mana, enters the battlefield, get a land. I like this card because if it does die, you can recur it with Nethroi, and when it enters again, you get to get another land. So I think these kind of cards are really good. Wood Elves, they're only 1 power, they're not taking a bunch of space, and they get to bring you back multiple lands, possibly.
Yeah, that's a great card. So my top pick right now for this deck is going to be Feyburrow Elder. This is a tree folk for 1 and Selesnya, Vigilance, and it gets +1/+1 for each color among permanents that you control, and then it taps for a color of each permanent you control. What's great about this is it's a 0/0, so you can recur this for free, if it does get removed with Nethroi. So for me, that's kind of like top pick. Looking for those things. You want to fill this deck, I think, with a lot of 0 power stuff that's going to get you value, and this is definitely one of those cards.
My next choice, I thought, was a nice utility ramp, Skull Prophet. 1 green, 1 black. He tapped for green or black, or you can tap him to put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. So, it's ramp when you need it, and if you're not doing anything, it's a way to get some cards into your graveyard. You can obviously mutate onto it, and so you just have a way to generate some, graveyard fill with this ramp card. I think it's a nice one to add in.
Right, so Skull Prophet, actually, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but you can't actually mutate on him because he's a human.
He's a human, that's right. We should clarify,
but
you can't mutate
still
on
a
humans.
Great card. And so just to clarify a few things, because I was confused about Nethroi, I thought, I can put a bunch of star creatures. So actually, star creatures, like the power and toughness with star, you can't recur them because if their stuff would change, I forgot what the ruling, basically it would invalidate the stack. So you need to make sure that you're either using 0 toughness or very low, 0 power or low power. That was a ruling. Make sure y'all check that out.
Okay.
But Skull Prophet still, I think Skull Prophet's still a great card. Like you said, it's going to give you ramp when you need it, and then when you don't, you're going to start filling your graveyard with it. It's one of my favorite for my Courier right now. Yeah, one of my choices for ramp was also another 0 power one. It's going to be Arboreal Grazer. This is the one with 0/3 reach. It's a great blocker. You can recur it. Again, it doesn't add to your Nethroi count. And then when it enters the battlefield, you get to play an extra land card. So it's ramp if you have land. It's commander. You want to be drawing cards anyways. You're probably going to have the extra land. And especially early on in the game, for only 1 mana, you can drop your land drops real fast. So that's one of my choices.
The next one I have is Elves of the Deep Shadow. Just these, your basic Land War Elf, your Elves of Deep Shadow, 1 mana, they can tap for mana. Recurable, you bring them back out, 1 toughness, 1 power. I just put these in just because, it's good to have that turn 1 drop, and they're the basics tap for mana.
That's great. Now, I'm going to give you another 0 power one. Like I said, I think making your deck as efficient as possible is always important. So Birds of Paradise, you're going to get the ramp. It's going to tap for any color. And again, it gives you that 0 cost recurability with Nethroi later in the future. It gets to come onto the battlefield. Another side note, I noticed we're both choosing a lot of creature cards, which I think is a good thing. With Nethroi, specifically with this build, not that you shouldn't play the Cygnus, not that you shouldn't play, what's the other ones, the Talismans, but you're going to want creature ramp, not and creature ramp is more easily removable, but with the recursion and what we're trying to do with Nethroi, it's definitely important to have creatures that can go to the graveyard and come back.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's a great transition to my next ramp card. It's actually, that's not a creature. It's Ashnod's Altar, and this goes with Phyrexian Altar too. You know, just if you've got the money, you know, it's great to add into deck. It's not only just ramp, but it's a sack outlet, you know. Great for just if you've got creatures on the board, you want to get an extra ETB with them, sack them to the altar, get some mana. I mean, it's just a great card to include if you have it or can afford to get them.
And a cool interaction. Let's say, you know, Nethroi gets removed a few times and it gets, you know, it's a pretty expensive commander to cast. Well, you can sacrifice a bunch of dudes, get a bunch of extra mana to pay for that commander tax. Each sacrifice pays for 1 commander tax, you know, which goes up by 2. Bring it back, and then if your creatures are small enough that you sacked, then you just bring them back anyway. And, you know, you've actually gained on that. Ashnod's Altar is a great card. I run it in almost all of my EDH decks because it's just such good value.
Yeah,
I don't buy all the Ashnod's Altar. I do proxy, so that might be another podcast episode. But you know, definitely look at getting an Ashnod's Altar if you can.
Yeah.
As you can tell, I love the 0 powers, so I'm going to give you another one right here.
Let's hear it.
This one's Bane Guardian. It's a 0/3 defender for 3, and you add X mana of any combination to your mana pool, where X is the number of creatures you have with defender. So Bane Guardian, of course, is going to count for itself because it has defender. You could totally take this this deck in a route where you're playing a bunch of 0/3, 0/4, 0/5s, a bunch of walls and defenders. So this guy could potentially tap for a bunch of stuff if you do that. But if anything, like I said, he's going to tap for at least 1 for himself, and he's going to be a free recur with Nethroi.
Yeah, not a bad choice. There are a couple defenders, you know, that tap for mana, so it's definitely something to look into. That might want to be a sub-theme. We can go ahead and get into the next category, which is card draw. Every deck needs card draw, ramp card draw. And so, yeah, I'll go ahead and start us off again. I got Greater Good as my top pick right now. Sacrifice a creature, draw cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power, then discard 3 cards. It's really good for when you have those high-power creatures that, you know, not super high power, but that are up there. That way you can, first, it's a sack outlet. It gets cards from your battlefield to the graveyard. It lets you draw cards, and then it also lets you put specific cards back into your graveyard from your hand. Let's say you have a couple creatures and you just want to find a way to fill them up. Well, Greater Good is going to allow you to get those cards from your hand into the graveyard while still, you know, netting you some cards as long as you're sacking a creature with power 4 or greater.
I think there's a bonus utility to that. Let's say you sack a big boy, you know, a 10/10, draw 10 cards. If you don't play out all those cards, you go to your discard, and that can actually be a benefit in this deck because you can discard stuff that you know you want to recur. So if you can, you know, if you can shape that to your advantage, sometimes discarding your, you know, cards from your hand, sculpting down could be a good thing. So I think that's an excellent choice. So for my first pick, I cheated a little bit. It's not necessarily card draw, but it's card selection, and I think it's a really valuable card selection because it not only gives you the card of your choice, but also is going to mill you. With Underrealm Lich, I think it's a great card. A lot of people are playing it. If you would draw a card, instead look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 of them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. Then you can pay 4 life and make the Lich indestructible to end of turn. I love this because while it isn't necessarily card draw, it's advantage in that you get to see your top 3, pick the best one that you can play, and then, you know, basically mill the other 2, which you, again, can recur. We have lots of ways to recur in this deck. But what I like about that is also it gets around certain things, like, let's say, the Narset, the blue Narset. It says you can't draw an extra card in your turn. Well, this is actually replacing the draw with a different effect, so you can get around a lot of stuff. A lot of people have stuff where when an opponent draws, something happens. Well, you're not drawing, so you get to go around. So it's a really great value card, and I think it goes great in this deck.
It's really good. It's one of the picks I chose as well. And it's just really good target for Nethroi to mutate onto, paying 4 life to give it indestructible. That's really strong, really strong. Yeah, it's a great card. I really like it. I mean, possibly
Frank, we are on the same wavelength. That's
exactly. So yeah, my next card draw I have here is Soul of the Harvest. 4 mana, 2 green, has trample 6/6. Whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield, you draw a card. So with Nethroi, you're going to be putting stuff in the graveyard, bringing it out onto the battlefield. If you have Soul of the Harvest in there and you just bring back a bunch of 0/0s, you're going to be drawing a ton of cards just from the ETB. When they enter, every time a creature enters, you're drawing a card. I think it could be a really strong effect. This is more of a like setup card draw. So I don't know. I wouldn't say like it's card draw because you need some stuff along to go with it. But if you could pull it off, it could be a really, really strong effect.
To kind of go with that, like you said, setup. My next choice is Harvester of Souls. It's a 5/5 Death Touch demon, and whenever another non-token creature dies, you may draw a card. What I like about this is it's symmetrical. So even if you're kind of building and you're hanging out over here, if other people are dealing with threats on the other side of the board that don't affect you, you're still drawing cards. You know, if they're targeting you, you're drawing cards. If they're targeting other people, you're drawing cards. No matter what creatures are going to the graveyard, you're going to be drawing cards, and I think that's just awesome value.
I have a similar card on my list, Fecundity. More of a cheaper alternative for any cards you just can't get. Whenever a creature dies, that creature's controller may draw a card. So every time one of your creature dies, you get to draw a card. It does have that negative effect where your opponents get to draw if their creatures die as well. But I definitely could see you using that as a political advantage, maybe. Like, hey, I gave you card draw. How about you not swing over here? I love the
politics.
Card. Yes, politics is very fun. So it's a really good card that you can really maximize your benefits from. Not just from not getting card draw, but maybe like persuading someone to do something in your favor. So I think it's a really good pick, these two cards. Yeah.
Kind of going with that. It's maybe not a political one, but I love this card. Again, I'm running in most of my Golgari decks. It's called Death Ritual. It's an enchantment, and of course enchantments we know a little harder to deal with, so this is probably going to stick around a little easier than some creatures. And this has, at the beginning of each end step, if a creature died this turn, you may draw a card. So again, each end step, you have the potential to be drawing cards. If anything dies, it could be your creature. Again, it could be an opponent's creature. If a creature is going to the graveyard from battlefield, you're going to be drawing a card. And I think this card's only like 75 cents.
Yeah, it's really,
definitely a really cheap card that you can get some good value off of it. Because you have, between your turn, you have 3 more turns for stuff to get removed. And you could be drawing cards that whole time.
That's 4 extra cards a turn cycle, which is, it seems slow, but it can be really strong, as long as you're sacking creatures, it can be really strong. My next card is more of an expensive one, more of a staple. I have Sylvan Library, just because this card lets you go 3 deep, just like the Underrealm Lich. I would say maybe possibly Underrealm Lich better in this deck, but the only reason I have, because of the mutate ability, but I have Sylvan Library just in case anyone wants to play Dredge. Dredge is a good way to put cards into your graveyard, and so Sylvan Library has that weird effect where the draw 3 is on the stack, and you can dredge each card draw. So if you have like Dredge 4, you can dredge 12 cards into your graveyard with Sylvan Library. So it's a really fast way to get cards into your graveyard with Dredge, but it's also just, you're looking at the top 3, you're picking the best one, possibly all 3, and it's just a good way to generate some card draw early on. It's a 2-drop, so...
Yeah, fun story. I've heard some speculation. That Commander product that they're doing for green, right? Have you heard of that?
Oh, yes.
So some people are speculating. This is not insider information, nothing like that. I don't know. It's purely speculation, but I've heard multiple people speculate Sylvan Library is going to be in it. And oh my god, that would be so great for the Commander community. It's an expensive card. Could really use a reprint. So let's really cross our fingers.
Hope on that one.
Yeah,
you heard it here first. Sylvan Library in the Commander Green product.
Screenshot this. I have one more, and this is a card that I highly underrated, and my girlfriend's probably gonna, punch me in the arm for this because I told her this wasn't a good card, but she has shown me the way. Return of the Wild Speaker is an instant for 4 and a green, kind of a lot, but check this out. Draw cards equal to the greatest power among non-human creatures you control, or non-human creatures you control get +3/+3 until end of turn. So you got a modal effect and you get to choose one.
Yes.
I guess I just didn't think in Commander people are playing like huge creatures. I mean, even Nethroi, that's 5 cards right there. Just by itself.
5 for 5.
Right, exactly. And I think in this deck you want to be playing non-humans anyways because... you want to have mutate targets potentially. And so that last one actually comes in really handy too, the non-humans. Let's say you get a Nethroi turn, you get a bunch of, awesome stuff back, even if they're a bunch of 0, 0/4s, 0/2s. The next turn, you bump them all to 3/3s, and it's like, you got this awesome horde of free creatures that are nice and big. So I think this is a really cool card. The price has just been going up on it because I think people like me are realizing this is a good card.
It's got good utility. It's it's really good. It could end out the game. It could get you back into a game. It's just a really good card. I have it in my Prosh deck, and so it's either I'm drawing 10 tokens or I'm making my 0/1s 3/4s and just going ham on people. So it's a really nice card.
I repent. I've seen the light. It's a good card.
He has seen the light. All right, so the next category we have graveyard fill. We need ways, to fill up the graveyard. I think this is probably going to be one of the most important parts of the deck. You can have, a bunch of stuff, but if nothing's in your graveyard, you're not going to be really casting the Nethroi for the mutate. You're not going to be really doing too much. So I think graveyard fill is a great way to. It's a really important part of this deck. My first choice, which was reprinted in one of the Commander sets this year, is Nyx Weaver. It's a 1 generic mana, 1 black, 1 green. It's got reach, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. And it also has the activated ability of, 1 generic, 1 black, 1 green. You exile it and return target card from your graveyard to your hand.
So
it's a 2/3 with reach. I mean, it's just a really good card. Every upkeep, you're going ahead and milling yourself for 2, which doesn't seem like much. But if you get this out early on, I mean, it could really add up along with the other effects you have. It can just return cards from your graveyard to your hand if you need an instant, if you need a sorcery, you need to recast that, the Return of the Wild Speaker, So I think it's a really good utility card. Great way to start filling up your graveyard.
It's actually on my list as well. What I love about it is the ability is at instant speed. You can just pay 1 Golgari and exile it at any time. So let's say someone's like, oh, Nyx Weaver's really filling the graveyard. Kill spell. Cool. I'm going to lose it anyways, so I'll exile it, get a card back from my... And mind you, this is any card,
exactly.
I've used this to get a land that I really need,
If you need it, you got to go and get it.
Right, but it's just the fact that you get a free choice is really cool. There's a lot of always restrictions on a lot of cards, non-creature, not, this one's just any card, do it. And then, of course, that mill's going to help you out. My last kind of thing on this is people, a lot of times, they think they're afraid of self-mill. They're like, but what if I mill the thing that I want? What if I'd rather have that in my hand? Well, with Nyx Weaver, okay, cool. You pay 3 and you get that card back.
You get it back.
Exactly. Just making sure that you have that. It does both on the same body.
Yes.
To go with that and selecting stuff that you want in the graveyard, because there's definitely stuff that does good in the graveyard. My first choice is actually Buried Alive, which is 2 and a black. Search your library for up to 3 creature cards and put them into your graveyard. Then shuffle your library. So this is great. Because let's say there's certain cards that you want to recur, like you have a Nethroi turn coming up, and you're like, okay, I need to set up for that. Play Buried Alive. It's a sorcery speed, so you got to play it on your turn. It's got to probably be the turn before you Nethroi, but you get to make sure that the cards that you want to recur are in your graveyard to get back that turn. So I think it's an excellent card, and definitely fits into this deck.
Yeah, it's on my list too. So we're 2 for 2 right now on Graveyard
Ooh,
Field.
let's see if we can get this going. Bingo.
Keep it going. Buried Alive, really good. Another card I have, which is kind of Graveyard Field, but more for your hand. I have Fauna Shamon. It's 1 in a green. You pay green and tap it to discard a creature card, and then you search your library for a creature card and put it into your hand. So it's a good way, if you've got creatures in your hand, you need to put them into your graveyard. You want to get them out for free. They have high casting costs. You can go ahead and activate the Shaman, put a creature into your graveyard, and then you also get a creature into your hand. So it's like a win-win. It's basically like a 2-for-1. Like, that creature going to the graveyard, it's not a downfall. It's not a negative. It's not a setback. If anything, it's pushing you forward, and you get to go and get another creature. So I think Fauna Shamon could be really strong in this deck.
I think it's a strong card in general, but that's good. I missed that one. I didn't put that on my list. So unfortunately, we broke the bingo right there. But still, I think I have another great creature for y'all. And again, I think you're going to be wanting to play creatures that have these spell-like abilities on them, because again, if it's a creature and it's in the graveyard, you can always get it back with Nethroi. So knowing that, I chose Acolyte of Affliction. This one's another great card that has recursion and mill built on it. So it's 2 in Golgari. When Acolyte of Affliction enters the battlefield, you put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. Then you may return a permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. So what I like about this is it's any card in your graveyard. So let's say you got a fat stack in your graveyard, and you got like 20 cards in there. This mills 2, and now you can choose up to any one permanent from your 22. You don't have to just keep the ones that you milled. You can pick anything in the graveyard. Plus
really
it's a 2/3 body, not bad stats, but definitely great recursion. I think some good value on that.
Yeah, and you could sack that, bring it back with Nethroi, and just have a loop to where maybe once a turn, every other turn, you're bringing back a card. You replaying a card. Yeah, it's really nice card. The next card
I've used that for lands. I've just got to say that one more time.
Used it for lands.
But the one that was for me was someone had played a Blood Moon, and like I was playing 3-color deck, so all my stuff was like non-basics, and I was like, I just need a swamp.
So the next card I have is more on the expensive side, but I think if you can really get this card, it'll do a lot. It's Hermit Druid, 1 in a green. You can pay green and tap it to reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a basic land. You put the basic land to your hand, and the rest just go in your graveyard. So if we're playing 3 colors, I like to play a lot of basic lands, but I think I can definitely bring down my basic land count just because Hermit Druid is so strong. I mean, you can activate it once, and you can get 20 cards into your graveyard just from a 2-drop.
Yeah. When you drop it, you're a target. You got to be careful.
You're definitely a target.
Hermit Druid is powerful.
You're bound to get at least, I want to say at least like 3 to 4 cards if you're playing a lot of basic lands. I tend to play a lot of basic lands, so I'm just like, I'm iffy about the card, but either way, even if you are, it's still a really good card.
Yeah, it's a fantastic card if you got the money for it. That's kind of one of my. I have this ongoing list of like staples, like good commander cards that like I'm trying to acquire over time, and that's definitely one of them because, like you said, in a deck like this, it's just insane. If you want another cheap mill one, I'll give you some budget options here. This one doesn't have as powerful as Hermit Druid, but I think it's grossly underplayed. It's Perpetual Timepiece. I think the thing is like 50 cents, even cheaper right now.
It is.
But you can tap it at any time. Put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard, which is super great. I've seen this even with people who play on Winding Clock and Artifact decks, and you just like mill in every turn. It's a really cool thing. What I like about though is you kind of have a bug out, because I've played the self mill game where I'm milling. Suddenly my library looks a little short, and I'm like, oh no, I'm going to deck myself, or someone else might try to deck me now that they see that I'm so low. So Perpetual Timepiece has a failsafe to exile the timepiece. Shuffle any number of target cards from your graveyard into your library. Great card. It kind of gives you that fail-safe of getting stuff from your graveyard back into your deck in case you're starting to get low on cards in your library.
And just the fact that it lets you choose which cards to put back in. Maybe you want to keep out some lands. You don't want to put land. You don't want to be drawing lands. Don't want to be milling lands. So you just put back some creatures and permanents. I mean, just a really good card. Really underplayed, yeah.
And so you're like, I just need gas. So you just shuffle gas back into your deck.
Exactly. The next card I have is Altar of Dementia. It was recently printed in Modern Masters, or no, not Modern Masters, right? 2 generic mana, sacrifice a creature. You put cards from the top of your library equals to that creature's power. So you're sacking, let's say, a 5-drop. You mill yourself for 5. So it's a really good utility card, and it's a sack outlet that also mills you. You're going to be wanting to recur your creatures over and over again because, we have some nice EBTs and stuff, and we're going to be bringing them back anyway. So it's a good card to get cards into your graveyard that not only in your library, but also on the battlefield. So I think it's a staple for any self-milled deck, and I think it's just a really great card.
Another cool thing that you can do, and I've done this multiple times in some of my decks, is I've noticed my opponents are starting to get low on their library. Yep. So when you sack to the altar, it's any player. So you can target them. Let's say, I'm going to go to Christmas Land real fast. Magic Christmas Land. You recur a bunch of 0/4s, right? You do the Wild Speaker, give them, make them all 3, whatever.
Exactly.
Then you sack them all and mill out your opponent.
Just another play for the Wild Speaker. Just
I'm saying it could work. It could work. It's Christmas Land, but even then, saying things like Nethroi. Let's say they're pretty low. Some of your big creatures. It looks like in this deck we're playing some pretty big stuff. Sacrificing that could even mill them out pretty bad. Or like you said, mill you Nethroi, get a bunch of stuff back.
So it looks like it's time to move on. We have taken it out of the graveyard, which is our next category. We need ways, not only with Nethroi, can't rely only on him single-handedly, because, 7th CMC is a bit. You're not getting there at least until turn 5, unless you're, like, really ramping out. But the first one I have, it's a little bit expensive, but I just really love the card. I recently got it. It's Marin of Clan Nel Toth. I mean, it's from the precon. It's 2 Golgari. Whenever another creature you control dies, you get an experience counter. And then at the beginning of your end step, you choose target creature card in your graveyard. And if its converted mana cost is less or equal to the number of experience counters you have, you put it onto the battlefield. But if not, it goes back to your hand. So, I mean, either way, you're getting a creature back. It's either going to the graveyard or the battlefield or to your hand. It's a great card for recursion. You're going to be, sacrificing creatures anyways. Those experience counters will build up. I think it's a really, really great card to get if you're going to be playing this deck because it's just so strong and getting cards out.
When I think of that being in the 99, because I usually think of that as being, of course, the commander, but it's kind of like that secret commander, where maybe, Nethroi, maybe it's been removed so many times that it's like, oh man, like I just can't afford to cast this again. You draw a Marin, you're like, okay, I'm going to play Marin, as my commander
just
from now on, basically. It's so good that it can just take over the game by itself. It's one of those. That's a great card.
Definitely.
I actually chose another creature too. This one's a little bit different and a perfect target for... What I like about this is it has kind of a dual purpose because it's recurability, but it's also something that you want to see in the graveyard. It's called Genesis. It says at the beginning of your upkeep, if Genesis is in your graveyard, you may pay 2 and a green. If you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So I love this because let's say you do Buried Alive. I often go and get this card and put it in my graveyard because every upkeep I'm going to have the option to recur. Again, we know something that we don't really want in the graveyard right now. We can recur with this. It does cost 3. It's a little expensive, but not too bad, all things considered.
Not too bad,
It's really not for any creature card. It's an Eternal Witness. My girlfriend's in the background there, and she's like, yeah, it's an Eternal Witness every turn. She's
Yeah,
right. What I like
much.
about it, it's one of those things that when you mill it, you're like, oh, good, it's in the graveyard, So it's something that you want to
It's a nice, feels good. Yeah, so the next card I have, I think, is a really underplayed card. It's Dawn of the Dead. It's 2 generic mana, black, black, black. On your upkeep, you lose 1 life, but you also get to return a creature card from your graveyard to play. It gains haste, and at the end of turn, you exile it. But it doesn't have that effect where if it dies before the end of turn, it gets exiled. So if it dies before the end of turn, it just goes to your graveyard. And so I think it's just a really great way just, to have some value. I love pairing this card with Sidisi, Undead Vizier. You lose 1 life on your upkeep, you bring it out, you sack Sidisi, you go tutor, and then you get to draw. So it's a really strong card for bringing cards out your graveyard. I would just be careful with that exile effect. If you don't have a sack outlet on the board, I would say you might want to just get something, something that's going to get you a little value and not really strong to your game plan if you don't have that sack outlet.
I'm going to have to look into that. What I do have on my list, though, is a sorcery called Victimize. And this card, again, I think it saw a recent print. I forgot what it was. I think might have been printed in Dominaria, something semi-recent. But people immediately was like, this is a great card. Because what you're going to do is you're going to choose 2 target creature cards in your graveyard and sacrifice a creature. If you do, return those chosen cards to the battlefield tapped. So it's a 2-for-1, except in a good way. You get 2 creatures for 1. And what I like about this is a lot of times spells like this, part of the casting cost is you have to sacrifice. So, you play the card, you sacrifice a creature, and then it gets countered, and then you're like, okay, I'm just down a creature. What's nice about this is Victimize has to resolve before you sacrifice. Yeah. So if it is countered, nothing ventured, nothing gained, you're fine, just a counter, but you still get to keep your creature. So I think that's a really great card. And like I said, 2-for-1, sack one of your little boys, get back any creature tapped, you'll get the big boys.
Next, I have a newly printed card from Ikoria. It's Death's Oasis. It's 1 white, 1 black, 1 green. It's an enchantment. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, you put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. And then you return a creature card with lesser converted mana cost from the graveyard to your hand. So so every time a creature dies, you're milling yourself, and then you're also getting a creature back to your hand. I think it's a really strong card. It's definitely helping you to mill yourself and then also getting things back to your hand. It doesn't bring it to the battlefield, which is maybe its biggest negative, but still definitely bring it to your hand is not bad. I mean, you get to recast things that have maybe cast triggers. And then it also has, you could pay 1, sacrifice it, and you gain life equal to the greatest converted mana cost among creatures you control. So at last case scenario, you're on death row, you need to sacrifice it, gain 5 life to just live and be in the game. I think this is a really nice underrated card, going for really cheap, and it's just a way to fill up your graveyard and get creature cards out from it.
Yeah, and in Commander, it's always good to have cards that are modal, that have different modes to them, that can do different things at different points of the game. This is one of them. Yeah, I just need 1 more turn, but this person's about to swing out for me. Death's Oasis might get you that life and might give you that last shot to steal the game. So that's a really good point you bring up. My next choice is becoming one of my new favorite cards. It's actually called Living Death. It's a pretty popular card, 3 in black. Each player exiles all creature cards from their graveyard, then sacrifices all creature they have on the battlefield they control. Then you put all the cards that were exiled this way into the battlefield. So basically everything you exiled from the graveyard, you get to recur. Yes, your opponents get to do the same thing, but if you're playing the self-mill game, more than likely you're going to have more value in the graveyard than they have. Definitely something to look at. There's been times where I haven't played this because I've had, opponents who have great creatures in the graveyard that I don't want them to recur for free. But if you can occur that critical mass where you're just going to outvalue your graveyard over theirs, then you can do that. Even the other cool thing you can do is if you have a way to exile an opponent's graveyard, a Bajuka Bog or something, you can take care of that stuff. Living Death, then you're just the one capitalizing on it. So it's a great card. Plus, it's going to board wipe anything that's problematic that's already on the battlefield.
That card was actually my next one up.
Nice.
But I can just move over then to the next card. It's another card that brings creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. It's Phyrexian Reclamation. 1 black, you pay 1 mana, 1 black, and 2 life to return a creature from your graveyard to your hand. It's an enchantment. It's instant speed, get a creature from your graveyard to your hand. I really like this card because, we're going to be playing with a lot of mutate creatures. We need a mutate onto Nethroi to be able to get that effect. And, say some of them die, entering the battlefield isn't good enough. So you need to bring them back to your hand to recast them for the mutate cost. So I think Phyrexian Reclamation is a great way just to get you back on track, get you some of those mutate creatures that may be in your graveyard that you actually want in your hand.
Yeah, it's also a great way to subvert commander attacks. I've done it a bunch of times where I say, okay, cool, you're gonna remove that Phyrexian Reclamation out. Say, okay, I'll just let it go to the graveyard. One black, put it in my hand. Boom, now I don't have to play commander attacks for that guy again. So great card. So speaking of mutate, I kind of have a little transition. This is a card that mutates and also has recursion here. This one's going to be Boneyard Lurker, which, by the way, I love the alternative art on this. It struck me when I saw it. I was like, and I even messaged really the artist, and I was like, are you going to turn this into a playmat? They said they don't have any plans for that yet, but if they do, I'll be the first one to buy it. I think it's gorgeous. But this is a 4/4 for 2 and Golgari. You can also mutate for the same cost, except the Golgari is hybrid mana. And it has, whenever this creature mutates, return target permanent card from the graveyard to your hand. So you can mutate this card onto something, get a card from your graveyard to your hand. Then you can also do Nethroi on top of this, and then you're going to get a Boneyard Lurker trigger as well as a Nethroi trigger. So maybe you have a big boy in the graveyard that you don't really want to get with Nethroi because it's going to take up all your space. Get it back to your hand with the Boneyard Lurker trigger,
exactly.
Right? And then get the other little boys out. I say little boys, little peoples. You know, little guys or gals. You know, all kinds of people in Magic, and we love that.
Yeah.
So I think it's a cool card. Like you said, if you're going, especially if you're leaning into that mutate mechanic, this is a good one for this deck.
Yeah, that's a great transition to the next category, which is mutate. You're going to want some mutate cards in there. Boneyard Lurker was actually my first mutate card. So nice. All right, let's see if we can start the streak again. Next, I have Cavern Whisper. It's 4 generic mana and a black, but you can mutate for 3 and a black. It has Menace, 4/4 Menace, and when this creature mutates, each opponent discards a card. It's really nice. I mean, there aren't too many mutate cards to choose from, but this is a pretty nice one. You're going to be mutating onto Nethroi multiple times, so every time you do that, you're going to be getting people to discard a card, which is really strong. It's just one card, but it can definitely add up, especially if people are low on cards, low in hands. It's definitely not uncommon in Commander. So, it's just a nice benefit when you're bringing stuff from your graveyard, just to have someone discard their hand. I mean, discard a card from their hand.
Discard a card. Yeah, hand destruction can be brutal, and especially, let's say a turn has a really explosive turn, and they've set up all this great stuff, and they have like 2 cards in hand. Docking them 1 card could be really detrimental to their plan, because maybe they have to make a decision now, like, oh no, like I need these next 2 cards for what I'm going to do next, but I have to get rid of 1, so it can really disrupt them there.
Yeah.
My mutate card that I really like is Sawdust Demolisher. I call it Beast Within on a stick. It doesn't hit any permanent, but it has mutate for 3 and a green, or you can cast it regularly for 4 and 2 green. But you're going to want to mutate it. It's a 6/6 trampler, and whenever this creature mutates, destroy target non-creature permanent, and then its controller creates a 3/3 beast. If I get to choose to destroy your non-land permanent and trade you a 3/3 beast, I'll take that most days. That's why people play Beast Within. So I think this is a great card. Definitely something that you could put Nethroi on, and I would put Nethroi on the bottom for this one, because then you get a 6/6, on top.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one of those, like we said, the big people that can start to have some presence on the board and threaten.
Yeah, so for my next mutate is Migratory Greathorn. It's 3 and a green, but the mutate is 2 and a green, and when it mutates, you basically Rampant Growth. You go and get a basic land from your library and put it onto the graveyard. Onto the battlefield. So it's it's a really good mutate. It's low. I think this might be one of the lowest in the colors, 3 CMC, and you also get a land, which is really, really strong, because let's say you mutate Nethroi this turn, you mutate Migratory Greathorn, you get your land, and then next turn you play a land, you'll be able to mutate again with Nethroi if it died with commander attack. So it's just a really nice card. It keeps you in the game on land, so you can play multiple spells and really sets you up.
Yeah, it's a great card. The next card that I'm going to talk about is one that I've kind of seen. It's funny, I don't know about price, but I feel like the hype for it has kind of gone like this. Like they were like, oh, it's okay. Oh, man. Oh, this is great. I'm looking at it right now, and I think it's gone up a little bit more now. But it's actually Gem Razor. It's 3 and a green, or you can mutate it for 1 green, which, by the way, I want to say the mutate cost is super important, because every time you mutate onto Nethroi, you get a Nethroi proc. You're going to get stuff back from the graveyard. So, and this one has, whenever this creature mutates, destroy target artifact or enchantment in opponent control. So again, getting removal, disrupting your opponents, getting rid of some of that stuff, while still getting a 4/4, mutate creature.
Yeah, just really strong cards. Mutate, just in general, I think it's a really strong ability, and I hope we see more of it and have more variety to choose from. I really like. Like the mutate effect. No, you're fine. You're good.
We got the socially distant stuff, guys. It's kind of hard. It's like Zoom etiquette, Skype etiquette. You got to know. Don't talk over each other. I was going to say, speaking about mutate real fast, I like it. I think the reason why I don't hate it is because I think a lot of people are like, oh, well, it's just like an aura. If it gets removed, then you lose your whole stack. And that's true, but the value that you get, you know, the mutates are always whenever this creature mutates. So since they stack on each other, it's like you get a trigger, you know, it's like you get this creature's trigger plus everything else that's on the stack. And so I think that's what makes it worth it.
So we can move on to the next category. We have sack outlets. We're going to want some sack outlets to be able to, you know, if not only get things into our graveyard, but they also protect our board. If someone's trying to exile one of our creatures, we could just sack it and send it to our graveyard instead. Yeah. So the first one I have is a Spawning Pit. 2 generic mana. Sacrifice a creature to put a counter on Spawning Pit, and then you can pay 1 to remove 2 counters and make a 2/2. So it's a great sack outlet. It gets things from your battlefield into the graveyard, and then if you've got nothing else to do, you can spend some mana to make some 2/2s and put them on your board. You know, go wide with it. Why not?
Yeah, for sure. That's a great one. I think I'm gonna one up you though, because I think this is like the best sack outlet right now. I love this card. It's definitely not. It's a creature, so it can be removed and stuff like that. It's no Ashnod's Altar, but Fiend Artisan. I love Fiend Artisan. There's a reason this card is really expensive right now. I hope you picked one up already. Because I really, honestly, I don't really see it going down for a while. I think people are going to be playing this in constructed formats as well as EDH. It's a Golgari hybrid mana. So 2 mana, and it gets +1/+1 for each creature card in the graveyard. It is a 1/1, which I actually like because it's also a good target for Nethroi to recur because it's only going to cost 1. It's only going to add 1 to that, but it's going to be big.
It's going to be a lot bigger.
Right. Exactly. And so you get X. So for X and a green, and then X and hybrid Golgari, tap it. Sacrifice another creature. Search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost X or less. Put it onto the battlefield. Then shuffle your library, and you can. So the only drawback is you can only activate this at sorcery speed, but still very good. Because a lot of these effects, like Vannifar and stuff, it goes off the CMC of what you sacrifice. You know, you sacrifice a 1/1, go get a 1 CMC, you get a 2, you get a 2 CMC or whatever. Yeah. This, whatever you pay into it, you can get. I can sacrifice my Llanowar Elves and go get, you know, a 10 drop if I pay 10 mana into it.
You really wanted to,
Basically, you get to just play anything in your deck, any creature in your deck. You know, it now becomes part of your hand because you're paying it. You know, you're paying the mana for it, but I just get to go get it. That's awesome. You know, I think it's just
really strong card. I have not yet gotten one, but I am definitely going to get one.
I immediately traded it from a friend. I was like, take whatever you want out of my trade binder. I need this card.
Yeah, I need to pick one up. The next card I have is a Birthing Pod, 3 and then Phyrexian green mana. You can pay 1 in Phyrexian green to sacrifice a creature and then search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost +1 to sacrifice creature, how you were talking about with like Vannifar. Yep. It's good because, you know, it's a sack outlet. You activate it once. You can only activate it once a turn, but I mean, you get a creature into the graveyard and then you get to go and get one out. So I think it's a really great card. You know, you one up the creature you got. I mean, there's definitely going to be a variety of creatures in the deck, and so just being able to have that, like, oh, I have a 3-drop, let me go and get this 4-drop. Yeah. I think it's just can be a really strong card.
Yeah, I mean, that's the original Fiend Artisan right there, you know. They're both great cards, and they do very similar stuff. The next one that I have on my list is probably the best 1-drop sack outlet, which is Carrion Feeder. It can't block, but you sacrifice a creature and put a 1/1 counter on Carrion Feeder. So we talked about how there's certain ways that we can abuse that. We can use something like Return of the Wild Speaker, draw a bunch of cards off our big Carrion Feeder that we've been feeding since turn 1. The altar, we can, you know, mill ourselves for a bunch if Carrion Feeder gets big enough. What I like about it mostly is, you know, that it's an early game play. You can drop it on turn 1 and then just start feeding it from the beginning of the game. You can immediately start sacking. People are, you know, doing stuff, whatever, you know, trying to remove your creatures. Boom, I'll just sack it to Carrion Feeder. Plus, Carrion Feeder is just going to get bigger. So I think that's a really good card. I think it's only like 25 cents right now. Really affordable.
Really strong card. I would say its counterpart, Viscera, 1 black.
Ooh, yeah,
it's a 1/1. Sacrifice a creature, scry 1. Same effect. Depending on the situation, one could be better than the other, but they basically do the same thing. You know, you sack a creature and then you get some benefit from doing that. You get some, you know, value from it. Viscera are very good. These are definitely really great cards to have just because they're recurable sack outlets and you can get them back with a throw.
You already kind of touched on the altars is why I was going to say pretty much any of the altars goes in this deck.
Yeah, definitely. Any of the altars. I have Greater Good, but we talked about that earlier. You know, sacrifice a creature, draw cards, put it into the graveyard. You know, great. So the next we have is Sacrifice Benefits. So, you know, the value that comes with sacrificing. These are cards that, you know, generate you some type of value for, you know, killing off your own creatures. So the first card I have is, you know, Laporte Cutthroat. Whenever a creature dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. I like this a lot more over Blood Artist, just because it hits everyone and you don't have to target. No, it hits everyone. You gain 1, and it's just really good. Every time a creature dies, you're gonna be killing off your creature, so it just pings everyone down for 1, which can really help in the end game when you just really need that last damage to get in.
Yep. I totally agree. I think Laporte definitely has that symmetrical effect. I think is really powerful. I can't remember. Does Blood Artist trigger when any creature dies, or is it just?
Yeah, Blood Artist does do whenever any creature dies. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was just wondering because I think they both have utility, and to be honest, I think they both have a place in this deck. Because my first pick was Blood Artist. I would say one benefit. And I'm not knocking Laporte. I would play it too. I'd play both of them. What I like about Blood Artist is, again, it's a free Nethroi recursion, on his ticket because he's a 0/1.
Exactly, 0/1.
That's good. And as, actually, to a point, I kind of like the targeting thing because sometimes that can also be a political move. Laporte can make you a bit of a target in the sense of, I'm sacrificing, I'm dealing damage to everyone. So if there's someone that maybe you can't turn the corner and beat them right now, but you can in a few turns, maybe say, hey, I got these triggers on Blood Artist. I'm not going to send him your way. I'm going to send him to, whoever. I'm going to send him to Frank. And, I'm going to pick on him. We're cool, right? So you can kind of have, like you said, both are great. Both have their advantages and disadvantages. I just wanted to bring up that Blood Artist tool that you can use in politics.
Yeah, exactly. Really strong.
Yeah.
The next card I have is Sir Conrad the Grim.
That was my
3 black. Whenever a creature dies, or a creature card is put into a graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature leaves the graveyard, he's dealing 1 to each opponent. So just 3 modes. You're filling your graveyard, you're taking creatures out, and you're putting creatures in by sacking them. I mean, it could be a really strong card. You pair this up with any of our graveyard fillers, and it's going to be doing a ton of damage. And then he has that benefit of just 1 in a black. Each player puts the top 2 cards of their library into the graveyard. Just if you're doing nothing, here's something to do. Here's something to spend that mana on. It's going to help progress you into the game. Put cards in the graveyard for Nethroi. It's just a really strong card, I think.
Right, for 30 cents. Exactly. I think one of the kind of parts is he's kind of expensive, and as far as mana cost, he's 3 black. But we have so much recursion. I'm saying victimize. I would gladly sacrifice stuff and just bring him to the battlefield. You're gonna get a trigger every time you mill. You're gonna get a trigger every time something dies when you sack something, and you're gonna get a trigger every time you recur something. So if again, let's go to Christmas Land real fast. Sir Conrad on the battlefield. Some non-human. We do Nethroi. We get a bunch of our 0/4, 0/3s, bring them back. Those are all going to proc Sir Conrad, and you could end the game potentially. If you build your deck the right way and you're getting back 10 plus 0 somethings, bye bye. If it's in the end game, that could be the game symmetrically.
Exactly.
So Sir Conrad, I think if we had to say this goes in every Nethroi deck, this actually goes in every Nethroi deck.
Yeah, it does. I mean, pair this with Hermit Druid, put no basic lands in your deck, and then boom, you're just gonna, however creatures you have in that deck, you're just gonna be pinging them for that. So it's a really strong card, really good with any of our graveyard fills that we have.
So since you took Plout from Sir Conrad, I was gonna get that one too next. But I'll go with this another new card, Bastion of Remembrance. Is an enchantment like it because again, it kind of subverts a lot of creature removal in the format. It's gonna when it comes in, actually, it's gonna give you a 1/1 human soldier. I wish it wasn't a 1/1 human because then we could mutate on it. But that's beside the point. Right, but either way, you still get a 1/1, and it has whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So kind of a redundancy for Laporte Cutthroat. It's a little harder to remove. Yeah, it's 25 cents. It's really good. Just came out in Ikoria. Definitely, I think the people who are big on Aristocrats saw it and were like, yeah, we want that. Everyone else is like, okay, so yeah, definitely put that on the radar.
Yeah. All right, so the next card I have is Mckay the Unhallowed. Definitely a more expensive card, but if you can get one, definitely look into it. It's 3 black, intimidate, and whenever a human deals damage to you, you destroy it. So we don't even like humans anyway. So there's that benefit. It gives your non-humans +1/+1, and they have Undying. So when they die, if they don't have a +1/+1 counter, they come back onto the battlefield with the +1/+1 counter. And I really like this just because we're gonna fill our deck with cards like Grey Merchant of Asphodel. It enters the battlefield, you get effect. If you kill it, you have Mckay on the battlefield. It's going to come back and get 1 more ETB before it goes. Every time a creature dies, you're just going to be able to bring it back 1 more time, give it that 1 more shot to do its value, do its thing. I think it's a really strong card, and it could definitely put in a lot of work.
Yeah, another kind of mode with that, like you said, the Undying, greater good. Sacrifice a guy, draw a bunch of cards, comes back, even bigger. Sacrifices again, draw a bunch of cards. You know, so you could get double sack. Abilities with that. Same thing. You know, Alter Dementia. You need to mill yourself a bunch this turn. Boom, sack. Boom. You get 2 sacks with that. So exactly. It's a good card for that. The last card that I have for benefits for sacrifice payoffs or even just dies payoff is Midnight Reaper. I'm looking real cheap right now. I think it's under $1 finally. It was really big and standard with the Rakdos, sack decks and whatnot. So it's getting cheaper. So pick them up because I think it's a good card too. It says whenever a non-token creature you control dies, Midnight Reaper is going to deal 1 damage to you, but you get to draw a card. And I think the card draw is a little bit more important. We're starting at 40 life in Commander. I would much rather trade a life for a card pretty much most days, unless I'm at 3 life. Even at 3 life, I'm like, I kind of want the card. You never know, like right, exactly. If I'm at 3 life at this point, I just need something to I need to draw into the right thing. So I think Midnight Reaper is really good. It's a zombie knight, so what's nice is it does subvert the human cost. You can mutate on it too. I think it's just really good value. And my favorite thing is when people and it's good, and you also got to be careful. You build a board, someone board wipes. Unfortunately, it's not a May ability, so you have to lose life and you have to draw. So that's something to be careful about. But luckily,
it can be good, it can be bad, yeah.
Right, luckily we're running a lot of sack outlets, so if that's the worst case scenario, we can sack the Midnight Reaper before all those triggers happen.
Or just choose how many cards we want to draw. Definitely a strong card. Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead. That's my last one of the sack out. It was a sack.
That was.
If you will.
Yeah, me too.
Cool.
So next category we can have is just your protection cards. To help protect you, either your graveyard, your creatures, and then also just a little bit of removal mixed in with that, just your generic stuff. So the first one I have is a creature. It's Shalai, Voice of Plenty. It's 3 and a white. And then it's a flying angel, 3/4 flying, and it gives you planeswalkers and other creatures you control hexproof. So it just really protects you and your creatures. It protects you from graveyard removal, like Bajuka Bog. It has to target a player. Well, you have hexproof. You're gonna have to get rid of this creature if you want to target me. So it really makes players have to jump through hoops to be able to get to you and really disturb what you're doing.
My first choice is actually Veil of Summer and Autumn's Veil. I'm going to kind of combine them too because they do very, very similar things. So Veil of Summer, the bane of standard and modern and all these constructed formats. You're going to draw a card if an opponent has cast a blue or black spell this turn. Then spells you control can't be countered this turn. You and permanents you control gain hexproof from blue and from black. So the reason why this card and Veil of Autumn, Autumn's Veil, which I'll read that one too real quick. Let me find it. Here we go. Autumn's Veil is 1 green, and spells you control can't be countered by blue or black spells this turn, and creatures you control can't be the target of blue or black spells. So when you have an Nethroi in the command zone, people kind of know what you're doing. They kind of know that you're going to want to recur something, right? And it's like we said, a large mana cost. So more than likely, they're going to have turns to get ready for that. You need to run basically these green counter spells for when they try to counter it. Or even, so what I've seen happen is they either try to counter your Nethroi because you are casting it as a creature, so they can do that. Or they can target the creature on the battlefield if they have a kill spell. Nethroi will still enter, but it won't get the effect. So what's nice about these is they basically protect all your stuff. If they have like Path to Exile, they can still get the creature on the ground. But Autumn's Veil, like I said, Autumn Veil and Veil of Summer are going to protect you from pretty much most counter spells and a lot of kill spells.
It just really narrows down what an opponent can do to you as long as you have that in your hand. It's really strong cards.
Right, and I think of this deck as a combo deck in a lot of ways because you want to have a big turn with Nethroi. If you're not having a big turn with Nethroi, you're it's all for nothing. So all combo decks need a way to protect their combo, and I think for 1 mana to protect your combo is pretty good value.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm going to add one more to that, if that's okay. Go ahead. Just because they're all so similar. The last one I want to add is Savage Summonings. I don't know if you were going to talk about this one either, but it's another 1 green mana. It can't be countered, and the next creature that you cast this turn, you can cast it as though it had Flash, and that spell can't be countered, and it is with additional 1/1 counters. So what's cool about Mutate is it's technically still a creature cost. So you're still casting a creature. So this protects it. Plus, you can do it at flash speed. Can you imagine a Nethroi on someone's end step? Yeah. With this guy that can't be countered. And then you just have your whole
turn to just do what you need to do, win the game there pretty much. If you're set up, you're winning the game there.
Right, and again, I'm all about budget. Savage Summoning's 57 cents right now.
I think I saw that card in your Discord, right? You had people talking about different cards, and I did see that, and I was like, yeah, that's a strong card. The next card I have is Ivory Mask. It's an enchantment 2 white, and it gives you can be the target of spells and abilities. So again, we said we want creature heavy protection, but enchantment protection is just so good because there's fewer enchantment removal usually in decks, and just really they're harder to deal with, and so I just think it's a really nice card. I have another card to go along with this. It's the Ley Line of Sanctity. 2 white, it gives you hexproof. And if you have it in your opening hand, you get to start the game with it. So these are just 2 really good cards. Just protects your graveyard, protects you, people from disturbing your game plan, and I think they're just really strong cards to just make sure you're like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do this on my turn, and no one can really stop me. They have to go and get rid of this first before they can actually do something.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about some budget protection. Let me hit you with this guy next. Right, I love this guy because he's a 0/3 for 2 mana. His name is Aegis Automaton. He is 4 and white, a little expensive, but you get to return another target creature from you control to its owner's hand. So what I love about this is, we have Nethroi, and we've had this awesome turn, and we want to do it again, right? But we don't have any way to mutate onto Nethroi to proc it again. With this, it takes a little bit of mana, but let's say we do it on someone's end step. We pay 5, bring Nethroi back to our hand, then we can recast it without paying commander tax doing that. Doing that.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, you can kind of bounce, a little bit your Nethroi and get extra stuff out of the graveyard. But it's also good protection. Again, we talked about Nethroi is already expensive. Someone's targeting it. Cool. Aegis Automaton, bring it back to your hand. It nulls their spell, and you get to cast it again without the thing. So it kind of has that added benefit of protection as well. And free recur. Because 0/3, 0/3.
Just all-star all around. There we go, MVP. The next, I just have your basic removal. Swords to Plowshare, exile creature for 1 white. You get to exile something, and its controller gets to gain power or gain life equal to its power. And then I have Nature's Claim, which is 1 green, and it destroys target artifact or enchantment, but gives that player 4 life, which is, definitely not a bad thing. 1 mana to choose between an artifact and enchantment, give them 4 life. Not bad removal. They're both 1-drops. I just thought, you want to make sure, we are building a graveyard deck, but you still want some level of removal. Just because you want to be able to disturb other opponents, you want to make sure that, they just don't win on a turn a big turn, You want to make sure you have some type of control.
For sure. I will die on this hill, and the hill that I'm choosing to die on is that people are not playing Death Sprout enough. That's my removal spell of choice for a deck like this. I love Death Sprout. I get it's a little hard to cast because it's 1 black, and green, but get over it. It's not that hard, especially in Commander with all the fixing and ramp we have. But it's also because you can destroy a creature and then ramp. Like, I can't think of another spell that really does that. I mean, Path to Exile, you exile something and then they get to ramp. No. I'm going to kill your thing. And I'm gonna ramp, and so I think Death Sprout 25 cents. Yes, it's 4 mana kill spell. Get over it. It's a good card.
I mean, we're playing a 7 CMC commander. I think we can afford to put in 1 4-drop.
Right. And like I said, and so let's say we're going turn cycle. Someone plays a problematic creature that we're like, oh, we need to deal with that. Like I said, turn 4, we're probably not going to be playing Nethroi, mutating it or anything like that. So use Death Sprout, and it's going to get you 1 step closer to casting. I think it's especially good in a deck like this with a high commander cost because you get to do the kill spell plus get the mana for get the
it gives you something to do early on. In that you're ramping out early, you're waiting to get it's that little awkward middle stage where you want to do something. So this is definitely something to do.
Yep. Y'all can add me on that one, guys.
Our final category is, cards we like, our pet cards we feel that would really fit into this deck. Just really we feel like are not noticed enough, underplayed. I'll start off. I have one of my favorite black cards. I didn't used to play this. I put it in a Villas deck I have, and I just fell in love with it. It's Morbid Curiosity. It's 1 generic mana and then black for a sorcery. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you have to sacrifice a creature. But then you draw cards equal to the CMC of the sacrificed permanent.
Like that.
My bad. You get to sacrifice an artifact or a creature.
Oh, okay.
So
you have a little choice.
Yeah, you get to choose. So it's a sorcery. It's not, if it was an instant, it'd obviously be a lot better. But it's just so great. You pay 3 mana. Say you sacrifice a 5/5, you get to draw 5 cards. It's a little bit of a sack outlet, at sorcery speed, but it gives you cards. I really love it. I used to play it in my Villas Reanimator deck. I would pay 3 mana, sacrifice Villas, draw 8 cards, and it's just, just it could be a really strong card, really help you get back into a game if you're feeling behind. Really just brings it down is that sorcery speed.
So I'm gonna take a little bit of time on this one because I want to talk about a build of the deck and cards that kind of go in that build, but they're all kind of basically do the same thing real fast. So I want to try to convince everyone in the audience to consider building Nethroi modular. So modular is a what is it, the ability, I guess, but it basically says modular and a number. And whenever that card comes into play, it's going to come in with that many counters on it. And then when it's put into a graveyard, you can put those counters on a target artifact creature. And so there's a bunch. If you're familiar with the Arcbounds, basically if it has the name Arcbound in it, it has this. So the first one I want to talk about is Arcbound Overseer. It has modular 6, so it's going to come in with, it's a 0/0. So it's a free Nethroi recursion. Mm-hmm. All of these are non-humans, so you can mutate into any of them. And they're going to come in with counters, which, the counters doesn't affect the Nethroi trigger. They're still 0/0s, and they just happen to get counters. I mean, this guy, he puts on your upkeep, you put a 1/1 counter on each creature with modular you control. Christmas Land again. You savage summonings, Nethroi onto something. Get back all your 0/0s, because all these modular creatures are 0/0s, and they come in with stuff. Get back your whole thing of modulars, make them huge, and then just swing out next turn to win the game. We have Arcbound Lancer comes in with 4, has first strike. Arcbound Hybrid has haste, modular 2. Arcbound Fiend, it's modular 3. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may move a counter from target creature onto it. This is just really fun kind of thing. You fill your deck with a bunch of 0/0s and then bring them all back. And my other favorite thing to add to that is something like the Ozolith, where when creatures die, then you put all of those counters onto that. So these all come in with counters, and so if they do get removed, you put them on the Ozolith, bring them back next turn with Nethroi or something, and recur them some way, and then you have even bigger boys. And I just think it's a really cool. It's really kind of janky. If you think about it, the modular cards aren't necessarily great, but they're really cheap. So it might be a really cool, cheap way to, and people won't expect it. I think they'll be like, "What is going on?" And then you just suddenly you have 10 0/0s that are actually 5/5s and 6/6s, and they're like, "What?" So that's kind of my pet. That's the way I would probably build this deck, just to have fun with it.
Yeah, definitely want to. It's always best to play a deck you're having fun playing. It sounds really fun. It's funny you bring up the Ozolith. That is, one of the cards, box topper Ozolith, were given away in the giveaway. So, stay to the end of the video to see who won that. I guess I'll go ahead and explain a little bit of a combo that I like to play. It's not infinite, but it was in my Villas deck, and I brought it over to this deck. So the first card you need for it is Edric, Sar, Master Breeder. He's 4 and a black. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you make X 1/1 black Thrall creature tokens, where X is that creature's CMC. And then if you control 7 or more, you have to sacrifice Edric. So as long as you're casting 6 CMC creatures, you'll be fine. Yeah. The next card that goes with this is Kyrix, Son of Yawgmoth. 4 Phyrexian black. And you can pay Phyrexian mana for all black spells that have the black symbol. And then Ashnod's Altar, which lets you sacrifice creatures to get 2 mana. And so basically the plan here is you have some kind of sacrifice benefit, like Laporte Cutthroat. Whenever you sacrifice a creature, you gain a life. So let's say you cast Laporte Cutthroat with Edric on the battlefield. You'll get 2 Thralls. And also you have Kyrix on the battlefield. So if you have Kyrix and Edric on the battlefield, you cast Laporte Cutthroat. You get 2 Thralls, which you then can sacrifice to the Ashnod's Altar to get 4 mana, draining people for 2 life, and you gain 2 life. You now have 4 mana to cast your next creature spell, and you can also pay life with Yawgmoth to cast for the black part. And so basically you just run through your deck. You play whatever creatures you have in hand. You play a 4-drop that has 2 black, so you pay 4 life, but you make 4 Thralls, sacrifice all 4 of them to the Ashnod's Altar, get 8 mana, and I paired this with my Villas, because Villas was the commander used for this, and so every time I was losing life to cast the creature's black mana cost, I would draw cards for that each time. And so it's a really fun and janky combo if you can get it set up. I mean, it's like a 4-card combo, and it's not really combo. You would have to have cards in hand to play, creature cards in hand to play them, but it's just a really fun interaction between these 4 random cards that were not meant to go with one another, and it's just really fun to play it off if you can get it off.
I've never heard of that. That's a really cool interaction. I like that a lot. And like you said, if things go into the graveyard, what's nice is we can recur them. You know, we middle with these pieces. We might be able to recur all the pieces at once. You know, so that's a really cool idea. My other pet card that I want to do about this is so Nethroi is going to bring a bunch of stuff back when we play it, but not necessarily going to give them haste. So this card is 20 cents. I think it's awesome. Should go in most decks again. Crashing Drawbridge is a 0/4 defender, so you get to get it back for free. You know, if you do get it. And then, if it's already on the battlefield, you can tap it, and creatures you control gain haste until end of turn. So with this, you can recur a bunch of stuff with Nethroi, tap it, you know, and then now all your stuff has haste. Because I think one of the issues with Nethroi that people might face is, okay, I recur a bunch of stuff, but if it's stuff that I want to swing with or get value off of that way, you know, if it's not ETB necessarily, then I'm kind of dead in the water and I have to wait and hope no one has a board. But if I am going to go the combat route, like let's say we do Arcbound Tribal and we get back all these things, you know, for free, Crashing Drawbridge it, now we can swing out with them and we don't run the risk of getting removed.
Yeah, definitely an underrated card. My girlfriend actually plays it in her Arcades Defender deck, and so she'll just, you know, bring out a bunch of defenders. All right, it's fine. Oh, no, I'm going to give them a haste. And it's just like, okay, well, I've definitely lost to that card. It's super strong, definitely underrated. I just totally forgot about that. Yeah, having a haste enabler is super strong if you're looking to go the combat route. You know, sitting there with the full board is just, you know, you don't know if it's gonna, you know, if you're gonna keep it on your next turn. So much can happen in one turn cycle in Commander, and so yeah, definitely, I think that's a really great card.
Yeah, even creatures that have abilities that you have to tap them for, Crashing Drawbridge gives them haste, so they can tap. You know, you can tap all your mana dorks now on that turn and continue to use your mana. You know, you recur, you know, Line of War Elves, Elves of the Deep Shadow, and stuff like that. It's like, okay, cool. Next turn I'll have more mana. Crashing Drawbridge, boom, you still have mana, so you can kind of keep capitalizing on that big Nethroi turn. It's a big, you know, Nethroi, like you said, you're going to probably build it like a combo deck. You know, you need a big turn that can, you know, just go off.
And, you know, it's a defender. It goes with that one ramp defender card you mentioned earlier. So there you go. You're getting 2 mana with it now.
There's a lot of ways to build this deck, and I feel like a lot of people are talking about it right now, and a lot of people are building it. I think the things that you can do to make it unique can make this deck really special and really kind of throw people off, you know, because there's kind of this standard idea of what Nethroi is. So if you can do things like Arcbound, you know, Tribal, you know, this cool combo like you said, where you're doing that, people just won't see that coming and they'll be like, wait, what's happening? And they won't be prepared for it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just so much versatility with just Reanimator decks in general, and I just think this is definitely a really strong Abzan commander that, you know, can really benefit from a Reanimator with this new mutate mechanic. I think it's just really a strong card. I feel like we're going to see more play of it, and it's just really going to boost itself up there as a really, you know, top commander.
Yeah, I think it's definitely here to stay. I think there's going to be a lot of people building it for a while now. And one thing that I do like about it, though, is this is a personal thing. I like that it came in the main set. You know, we're seeing right now a lot of commanders being built, a lot of people, and there's nothing wrong with this. Let me start off by saying that. But a lot of people are building commanders off of the precon decks and the precon commanders. And that's super great. Those cards are made for commander, so they're inherently good. I personally, like, one thing that I did, maybe I'll plug a little bit here. I have a YouTube channel. Y'all can hear about that later. But on my YouTube channel, I build a deck around Cheval, who is a little bit, I think, flying under the radar. I think people see it and like, that's cool, but is it real? And the reason I like that is because it's not necessarily a card that's good in Commander, you know. It's just a good card. And so for me as a deck builder, I have to find a way to make it good in Commander, you know?
Yeah,
and kind of I think the same thing with Nethroi. I think it's a very powerful card, not underestimating it. But to me, it doesn't scream, oh, this is a great Commander because it has like all the symmetrical stuff. You know, it's only dealing with your own stuff. Unlike some of the pre-con stuff where it's like, when you do this, everyone does something, you know, when you do something, it affects the whole board. So I like that, you know, this is such a powerful card in the main set. I think it really, I think that's a good thing. Now, again, buy pre-cons, use pre-cons. I think they're great. Especially, I think these Ikoria pre-cons are really good. I would put my seal of approval on them compared to some of the other ones recently. But I still want to see commanders in the regular set, in the core set, part of the set.
It just feels good, you know, finding that like, oh, hey, I think I could really take advantage of this. Let me go ahead and build this. And, you know, it's just like, you know, you get to do your own thing with it and, you know, really find and fine-tune a commander that, you know, may have been overlooked. And now it's just like, you can like really make it your own and put it on the radar.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So yeah, those are my pet cards and everything. I think there's a lot of stuff you could do with it, a lot of ways to go with it. I think you're gonna see it. I think an important part is conversations like this. You know, talk to your friends about, you know, what would you do with this? There was, you know, half the cards I mentioned today, my girlfriend brought up to me. She's like, actually, this would be good. This would be good. And so I think when a commander has people talking about different builds and different stuff, it makes it a really versatile one. And that to me shows it's going to stick around for a while because people are going to try different builds. If it's someone, I guarantee you, it might be me, but someone's going to try Arcbound Tribal. Make it happen. Make it happen, guys, viewers.
I'm going to expect that Arcbound Tribal. You know, I want you to build it. I want to see it on the channel.
Right.
I'm going to have to bring you back for that.
We talked about having you on our stream as well, so maybe I'll build it just for you and I can destroy you and show everyone the true power.
And show the power of the Arcbound
Tribal. Yeah. But this has been great, Frank. Thank you for inviting me on and having this awesome discussion.
No problem. Yeah, no, this was really fun. I hope we could do some more videos like this. It's been really great. Yeah, do you have anything you want to say? Just go ahead and anything you want to promote?
Do the plug. Yeah, I got you. So being a YouTuber, I've gotten used to this a little bit. Right now, what I want to say is, first of all, thank you for having me one more time. Thank you, Common Command. Make sure you're following and liking them on all their socials. I think some of my links will be at the bottom of this. Check those out. But definitely. I will put out a few. Instagram, I'm very big on that. It's going to be @casual_Jake_. I do a lot of posting on that. It's a great way to connect with me directly. The other great way is to check out my Discord, which we'll also have a link to. It's a growing community. We talk about just cards. We do stuff like this. And we even do webcam EDH games. And so if you've ever thought about like, oh, I want to do some of that stuff, you know, especially in this time of socially distancing, you're going to play with me. You're going to play with the other Elder Dragons, the people that are on my stream. We do that like all the time. We play every other day at least. So check that out. Last thing I want to plug, I have all socials, but the other big one would be YouTube. I'm getting back into that. I took about a year off, kind of focusing on my grad degree. Finish that up. Yay. So check out the YouTube.
Congrats.
Thank you. Appreciate that. You can check out the Shovel Deck Tech. You're going to see more collaborations like this, mostly deck techs. And I'm even looking into, I'll kind of give a sneak peek, looking into the video essay realm of Magic. So we might see some of that coming up soon.
Nice.
That's what I got. So Casual Jake, you can just type it in, find it in most places. And yeah, thank you again, Frank, for having me.
No problem. Great to have you here. Hope to have you back. Yeah. All right, guys. That's going to be it for this episode.
All right. Y'all take care.
All right. Oh, that's not stuff. Wrong button. All right, guys. So you've made it to the end of the video. We're going to be raffling away the prizes bingo style. So each person that's commented on a video has been assigned a ball number, and then we're just going to raffle those off. I have the list of people and that's commented and their assigned ball number. But before we get into that, I just want to say what a great episode. It's really fun to talk about commanders and how to build them. Drake was great. Hope to have him back on the channel soon. And also, I just want to let you know that our Patreon, we have a goal. And our goal is if we make $50 a month on Patreon, we will have a patron-only raffle. And I just want to show you one of the prizes that's going to be in that raffle. This is just one of them. It's going to be the full art. I'll go ahead and put it up on the screen. The full art Godzilla form of Violent Plant form, which is the Godzilla form of Nethroi. And this is like worth, I think, like $30-$40, and it's going to be in our patron only raffle once we hit that goal of making $50 a month on Patreon. And we're doing that just so we can encourage patrons to join, get people to join Patreon, because that money that you put into Patreon goes directly back to you. And so I just wanted to let you guys know that yes, so that card will be up for grabs once we hit that goal on Patreon. But let's go ahead and start the raffle. We're going to spin the ball. We got amazing prizes. So the first prize we're going to be giving away is going to be our foil rare Whirlwind of Thought. So we're going to go ahead and raffle. So let's see. We got a ball. We got a second ball right there. We'll just toss that boy in. So the first winner is N31, if you could see that. And so N31, let me just go and look for that real quick. All right, and so the winner of Whirlwind of Thought foil rare is Matt Moon. Congratulations, you won Whirlwind of Thought, and unfortunately your ball will be out for the rest of the raffle. And yeah, so that is our first winner, Whirlwind of Thought, Matt Moon. We're gonna put that off to the side right there. The next thing we're gonna be giving away is this giant D20 die, and so let's go ahead and raffle that away. All right. And so the winner we got is G60. And let me go ahead and take a look at who is G60. All right, and so the winner of the giant die is going to be YouTube subscriber Milk. His name is Milk on YouTube, so we'll be contacting all the winners. But yes, he is the winner of the D20 die. Really fun prize there. We're going to set that off to the side. All right, and let's keep it going. The next thing we're giving away is the Full Art Foil Zerda. Full Art Foil Zerda. Fun card, pretty good. And let's go ahead and get this going. And so we got one. 062. 062. Let's go ahead and check out who is 062. And so 062 is subscriber Rehace. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Rehace. He is 062 and the winner of Zerda, Foil Rare Zerda. And so, all right, so we're going to put that off to the side. And so the next thing we're going to be giving away are the Dragon Shield, Dragon of Liberty sleeves. We love Dragon Shield art matte sleeves. We think they're really the best. So we're going to go ahead and raffle this away. 063. We got 063. And so the winner of the Dragon Shield Art of Liberty sleeves is Herpes Amsack. I don't know what that name is. I don't know the reference if it even is one, but he is the winner of the Dragon Art sleeves. Really great product, so lucky him. And so the next thing we're going to be giving away is the Foil Box Topper Ozolith. The Ozolith, a really nice card. It's really fun, can be in some pretty good builds. And we're going to be giving this away next. So let's see who's getting this giant prize. It's 073. 073. So the winner of the Box Topper Ozolith is subscriber KS. So lucky to subscriber KS. He wins the Ozolith Box Topper. Really nice card. Appreciate the support. We're going to be moving on to our Liliana, the wall scroll with the stained glass art. I just want to give you guys a reference of what this looks like because we have one here. We have the Ugin. I'm just going to show you how big it is, what it looks like. This is what, I don't know if you could see everything, hopefully, but this is what it looks like for the most part. It's really nice. Really got a nice way to decorate your house. Show the people that, you know, you like a little bit of magic. And so we're going to be raffling this off next. And, whoa, I pushed something on there. So let's go ahead and see what we get. Or who gets it. B3. Lucky number B3. And that is going to be Carlos Espada. Carlos Espada is our lucky winner with B3. And he is winning the Liliana Wall Scroll stained glass art. And so that is it for the raffle prizes. There's definitely going to be more raffles to come. We love to give back to our subscribers, our community. So if you did not win, don't worry, there's more. And like I said, patron-only raffle. Once we hit $50 a month, this is just going to be one of the prizes. That's just one of them. It's already a $40 card. And we just want to say thank you to everyone. We're barely in a week, 1 week in, and we've already reached almost 100 subscribers. We're like at 87, I want to say, at the time of recording. Right before we started the raffle, we actually got a subscriber. His name was something Lim. And I mean, I put him down, I wrote him down. Unfortunately, he did not win anything, but I mean, we want to build a nice community here, a tight community, and we just want to give stuff to you guys. So thank you for the support. We hope to have your support going forward. And congratulations to our winners. We're going to be contacting you as soon as this video goes up. Anyways, guys, we'll see you in the next one.